Commander Sarah Chun stood on the observation deck of the orbital defense platform Titan's Fury, her morning coffee growing cold as she watched the impossible sight unfold before her. 5,000 alien warships materialized from hyperspace. In perfect formation, their obsidian hulls gleaming like deadly jewels against the star field. Each vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapon arrays that could glass a continent. A communication officer, Lieutenant Rodriguez, burst onto the deck, his face pale with terror. "Commander, they're broadcasting on all frequencies demands for immediate surrender. They call themselves the Hegemony, and they claim Earth has exactly 1 hour to relax." "Rodriguez," Sarah interrupted, taking a slow sip of her coffee. A smile spread across her weathered face as she studied the enemy formation through the reinforced viewport. Perfect for target practice. Rodriguez stared at her in disbelief. "Ma'am, with respect, there are 5,000 of them. Our entire fleet consists of maybe 300 ships, and most of those are patrol craft." Sarah's smile widened as she activated her comm unit. "This is Commander Chun to all stations. Prep the Goliath protocol. And someone wake up Captain Martinez, tell him his theoretical weapons just became very real." Down in the weapons bay, Chief Engineer Marcus Webb was already 3 steps ahead. The grizzled veteran had been working on classified projects for the better part of a decade, projects that officially didn't exist. His hands moved across holographic interfaces with practiced precision, initializing systems that made the alien weapons look like firecrackers. "Jenny, fire up the quantum disruptors," he called to his assistant, Dr. Jennifer Park. "And prep the temporal mines. Looks like we're about to field test everything at once." The aliens had made a critical error in their intelligence gathering. They saw humanity's small fleet and assumed weakness. They couldn't have known about the defense grid hidden throughout the asteroid belt, or the weaponized satellites disguised as space debris. Most importantly, they didn't know about humanity's greatest strength, the ability to turn impossible odds into an advantage. Captain Elena Martinez arrived on the bridge, still pulling on her uniform jacket, but her eyes were sharp and alert. She'd been dreaming of this day for years, the day her radical theories about asymmetric space warfare would finally be put to the test. "Status report," she barked, sliding into the command chair. 5,000 Hegemony dreadnoughts in attack. "Formation," Sarah reported. "They've given us 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." Alana's grin matched Sarah's. "Then we'd better not keep them waiting. All stations, this is Captain Martinez. Today, we show the galaxy why humans are the apex. Predators of space. Begin Operation Underdog." The countdown began. 59 minutes until humanity proved that numbers meant nothing when facing human ingenuity and sheer audacity. Asterisk aboard the Hegemony flagship Dominion's Wrath. Supreme Admiral Korth Vex studied the pathetic human response through compound eyes that had witnessed the subjugation of 17 species. His mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "They're powering up their primitive weapons," his tactical officer, Sub-Commander Raish, reported, with barely concealed contempt. "Kinetic projectiles and basic energy weapons. Their largest vessels are 1/10 the size of our escorts." Korth Vex's forearms gestured dismissively. "The humans achieved interstellar travel only recently. They lack the wisdom that comes with true power. Signal the fleet will demonstrate Hegemony superiority by destroying exactly half their forces. The survivors will serve as an example to other primitive species." But the Hegemony's intelligence had catastrophic gaps. They'd observed human merchant vessels and assumed they represented peak military technology. They'd watched human diplomatic missions and mistaken restraint for weakness. Most critically, they'd failed to detect the massive industrial complexes hidden within Earth's moon, where humanity had been preparing for exactly this scenario for 30 years. Back on Titan's Fury, Captain Martinez watched the alien fleet. begin their approach in the classical hegemony formation, a wedge designed to concentrate firepower while minimizing return fire. It was textbook space warfare, which made it predictably boring. "They're following the Calrose Academy manual to the letter," she observed, referencing the captured hegemony tactical guide. "Raish, update the firing solutions. Webb, are we ready?" "Quantum. Disruptors online," Webb reported from the weapons bay. "Temporal mines deployed and armed. The asteroids are locked and loaded." Dr. Park pulled up a holographic display showing the space around Earth. What looked like empty void to the aliens was actually a carefully orchestrated killing field. Hundreds of hollowed-out asteroids concealed weapon platforms. Seemingly random. Space debris contained sophisticated AI-controlled hunter-killer drones. Even Earth's garbage had been weaponized discarded satellites retrofitted with fusion warheads, now drifted in perfect ambush positions. "Remember," Martinez announced over the fleet-wide channel, "we're not just fighting for Earth. Every species the hegemony has enslaved is watching. Show them that freedom isn't dead in this galaxy." Lieutenant Commander Jackson Hayes, pilot of the stealth fighter Ghost Protocol, couldn't contain his excitement. His modified ship was invisible to hegemony sensors, armed with experimental weapons. That bent physics in interesting ways. "Boss, I've got perfect positioning on their command ship. One word and I can turn their admiral into cosmic dust." "Negative, Hayes. We want him alive to witness what happens next." Besides, Martinez's voice carried a predatory satisfaction. "It's about to get much more interesting." The hegemony fleet reached optimal firing range and opened up with devastating volleys of plasma and antimatter. Their weapons lit up space like a deadly aurora, each shot capable of obliterating a city. It was a display designed to break enemy morale through sheer overwhelming force. What they hit instead were holographic projections and decoy drones. Every single human ship they'd targeted was exactly where the humans wanted them to think it was, which was nowhere near where it actually was. "Now?" Webb asked, his finger hovering over the firing controls. Martinez smiled. "No." Asterisk the first sign that something had gone catastrophically wrong for the hegemony came when 3 of their dreadnoughts simply vanished. Not destroyed, vanished. One moment they were there, the next they had been erased from existence, leaving behind only expanding clouds of confused particles. "What just happened?" Supreme Admiral Korth Vex demanded, his composure cracking for the first time in decades. Of Conquest. Sub Commander Raish's voice shook as he read the sensor data. "The ships ... They appear to have been displaced temporally. Our chronometer readings show they were somehow moved 14 seconds into the past, and then he never finished the sentence. A wave of quantum disruptor fire swept through the hegemony formation, each shot precisely calibrated to overload their shield generators. Ships that had been invulnerable moments before suddenly found themselves naked to conventional weapons. "Impossible," Korth Vex breathed. "Their technology can't be this advanced." "Our scouts confirmed." "Your scouts saw exactly what we wanted them to see." Captain Martinez's voice cut through their communications. "This is humanity's formal response to your surrender demand. Try and take us." The asteroids revealed their true nature as massive railgun platforms swiveled into firing position. Each rock was actually a hollowed-out weapons platform, and they opened fire in perfect synchronization. Tungsten slugs the size of city buses accelerated to significant fractions of light speed, turning hegemony armor into abstract art. Commander Sarah Chun coordinated the defense grid from Titan's Fury, her tactical display showing the beautiful chaos of the battle. "Webb, how are our temporal minds performing?" "Like a dream," the chief engineer laughed. "The aliens keep trying to retreat to positions they occupied 30 seconds ago, only to find we already mined those locations. It's like watching someone try to dodge a punch that was thrown yesterday. Dr. Park monitored the quantum disruptors with scientific fascination. The exotic matter reactions are creating localized space-time distortions. Their ships are trying to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It's giving their navigators seizures. Lieutenant Commander Hayes dove his stealth fighter through the chaos, his modified engines leaving trails of twisted reality. I've got visual on their flagship. The Admiral looks like he's seen a ghost. That's because he has, Martinez replied. Hayes, execute Operation Hindsight. Hayes triggered his ship's most experimental weapon, a causal loop generator that would give Admiral Korthvex a very personal demonstration of human creativity. The weapon didn't just show the Admiral possible futures. It made him experience them as if they were happening simultaneously. Suddenly, Korthvex was living through his own death in 17 different ways, each more impossible than the last. In one timeline, his ship was turned inside out. In another, he found himself apologizing to every species the hegemony had conquered. In a third, he was somehow defeated by a human child, armed with nothing but harsh language and a pointed stick. This is not possible, he screamed, all four arms clutching. His head, physics doesn't work this way. Human physics does, Martinez replied calmly. We've had a lot of time to think about how to kill things that are bigger, stronger, and more numerous than us. Turns out, when you're the underdog, you get creative. The battle was becoming an rout. Hegemony formations shattered as ships fled in random directions, only to discover that the humans had anticipated every possible escape route. Mines exploded in perfect timing, creating cascade failures that disabled entire squadrons. The mighty hegemony war machine was being dismantled by an enemy they had considered primitive. But the humans weren't done yet. The hegemony fleet, once a terrifying armada of 5,000 ships, had been reduced to fewer than 3,000 functional vessels in just 30 minutes of combat. But rather than pressing their advantage with conventional tactics, the humans did something that chilled the aliens to their core. They went hunting. Scatter Formation Alpha, Captain Martinez ordered. Let's show them what apex predators look like. Human ships, each smaller than a hegemony escort, began stalking their prey through the debris field. These weren't the lumbering battleships the aliens expected, but something far more dangerous, perfectly designed, killing machines that moved through space like sharks through bloody water. Lieutenant Commander Hayes had painted kill markers on his fighter's hull for every hegemony ship he'd disabled. Boss, I've got a group of cruisers trying to establish a defensive perimeter around asteroid 4 Alpha. Permission to demonstrate why that's a bad idea? Granted. Try not to have too much fun, Hayes. Hayes's stealth fighter materialized directly inside the hegemony formation, his ship's experimental phase shift drive, allowing him to occupy the same space as enemy vessels for precisely 0.3 seconds long. Enough to plant antimatter charges in their reactor cores, not long enough for their sensors to register his presence. 6 hegemony cruisers detonated simultaneously, their death throes lighting up space in brilliant nuclear fire. On the flagship, Admiral Korthvex watched his fleet die with growing horror. Tactical analysis. How are they doing this? Sub-Commander. Raich's report was the stuff of nightmares. Sir, they appear to have turned the entire solar system into a weapon. Every piece of debris, every asteroid, every discarded satellite, they're all interconnected in some kind of vast network. We're not fighting a fleet. We're fighting an entire star system that wants us dead. Chief Engineer Webb monitored the battle from deep within Titan's Fury's weapons bay, surrounded by technology that shouldn't have existed for another 1,000 years. Dr. Park, how are the causality weapons performing? Beyond expectations, she replied, her eyes bright with scientific excitement. We've successfully created localized regions where effect precedes cause. The hegemony ships are being destroyed by weapons fire that hasn't been fired yet. Their tactical computers are experiencing what I can only describe as temporal migraines. Commander Sarah Chun coordinated the hunt with predatory satisfaction. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking like conquerors rather than survivors. They relied on overwhelming force and numbers, never learning the subtle art of making every shot count, every move calculated, every weakness exploited. Delta Squadron, I've got a cluster of dreadnoughts trying to retreat toward the outer planets, she reported. They're moving in standard defensive formation. On it, Commander, came the reply from Squadron Leader Patricia Okafor. Initiating Operation Nostrap. What the fleeing hegemony ships didn't know was that their retreat was actually leading them into the most sophisticated ambush in military history. The outer planets weren't just celestial bodies. They were weapons platforms on a cosmic scale. Jupiter's moons had been hollowed out and filled with mass drivers. Saturn's rings contained millions of hunter-killer drones. Even Pluto had been turned into a fortress that could crack planets. The retreating aliens flew directly into a crossfire that spanned astronomical units. Weapons fire converged from 17 different celestial bodies, creating a kill zone where escape was mathematically impossible. This isn't warfare, Admiral Korthvex whispered, watching his ships die in perfect synchronization. This is artistry. They've turned destruction into a science. But the humans had saved their greatest surprise for last. Deep in Earth's moon, a weapon that had been 30 years in the making was finally ready to fire. It was called the Omega Protocol, and it would demonstrate to the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or tactics. It was the sheer audacity to attempt the impossible. Captain Martinez smiled as the weapon came online. Time to end this. All ships, prepare for the finale. The Omega Protocol wasn't just a weapon, it was a statement. Hidden within Luna's core, humanity had constructed something that defied every known law of physics and several unknown ones. It was part particle accelerator, part reality engine, and part philosophical argument about the nature of existence itself. Omega Protocol charging, Dr. Park announced, her voice filled with awe even though she'd helped design the weapon. Exotic matter chambers at full capacity. Quantum tunneling effect initialized. We're now officially in violation of at least 14 physical constants. The remaining hegemony fleet, barely 2,000 ships, had formed a desperate defensive sphere around their flagship, all weapons trained on the small human vessels that continued to dart between them like deadly insects. Admiral Korthvex had finally realized the truth. His fleet hadn't encountered a primitive species. They'd stumbled into the territory of something far more dangerous, a race that had learned to turn the universe itself into a weapon. Sir, Sub-Commander Resch reported, his voice barely a whisper. Sensors are detecting massive energy buildup from the planet's satellite. The readings ... don't make sense. It's as if they're charging reality itself. Captain Martinez stood in the command center of Titan's Fury, surrounded by displays showing the mathematical beauty of humanity's perfect trap. Every alien ship was exactly where the computers had predicted they would be. Every weapon was charged and ready. Every contingency had been planned for and prepared against. This is Captain Martinez to all human forces, she announced on the Elsa. General Channel. When the hegemony arrived today, they expected to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they found something that evolution spent millions of years perfecting: humanity's capacity for creative violence. She paused, looking out at the alien fleet through the viewport. We didn't become the apex predators of Earth by being the biggest or the strongest. We became apex predators by being smarter, more adaptable, and absolutely ruthless when cornered. Today, we introduced the galaxy to that concept. The Omega Protocol reached full charge. and space around Earth began to shift. Reality rippled as the weapon prepared to demonstrate humanity's ultimate trump card, the ability to weaponize mathematics itself. Chief Engineer Webb watched his life's work come to fruition. Firing solution locked. All enemy vessels are within the effect radius. Captain, we're ready to show them what happens when you pick a fight with a species that evolved from persistence hunters. Lieutenant Commander. Hayes had returned to formation. His fighters scored with battle damage, but his spirit unbroken. You know what the best part is? They still think they have a chance. Look at them, trying to form up for one last desperate charge. Commander Sarah Chun smiled grimly. Let them come. Perfect for target practice. Admiral Korthvex made his final gambit, ordering his remaining ships to charge directly at Earth in a kamikaze attack. If the hegemony was going to fall, they would take humanity with them. 500 dreadnoughts, their weapons glowing with antimatter fire, accelerated toward the blue-green world that had become their nemesis. Fire, Martinez commanded quietly. The Omega Protocol activated, and for a brief moment, the fundamental forces of the universe rearranged themselves according to human will. The charging hegemony fleet didn't just die. They were edited out of existence, their atoms convinced to forget how to maintain cohesion. Where there had been ships, there was now only the faint memory of ships, slowly fading like a half-remembered dream. Admiral Korthvex found himself alone in his flagship, the sole survivor of a fleet that had conquered 17 worlds. Around him, space was empty, except for scattered debris and the gleaming forms of human vessels. This is impossible, he transmitted on all frequencies. No species develops this level of technology this quickly. What are you? Captain Martinez's response would echo through hegemony space for generations. We're humans. We don't just survive, we excel, and you just gave us perfect target practice. The Battle of Earth lasted exactly 97 minutes. When it was over, humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, by turning an overwhelming defeat into an absolute victory, through nothing more than human ingenuity, preparation, and the fundamental refusal to give up. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.